If you're dealing with a chronic illness, you know that managing your health can feel very overwhelming at times. One thing I wanted to share with you today is how I've created a medical resume and how I use ChatGPT to help me decipher my blood work and potential diagnoses as well as treatments. On this first part here, I've gotten a lot of compliments from doctors that have said, having this resume is really, really helpful. And I update this medical resume right before any appointment that I go into. Frankly, I started to get very fed up with filling out all of those intake paperwork and, having to repeat myself. And, if you have a chronic illness, you know what it's like to not feel well enough or have brain fog or fatigue the day of a very important appointment, and you just want to make sure that all of the topics that you want to cover are covered in your appointment. So what I've done here is given you a sample medical resume. So in this case, I say when it's been updated, you put your name up here. I include my information so they can quickly reference that. And then I always include all of my current doctors so that that doctor could actually coordinate with other doctors if needed. I also have current diagnoses listed here. As we scroll down, I have updates and topics to discuss for today's visit. And so here I'll talk about maybe a treatment that I wanted to try, what blood work was completed that we should review, maybe my top symptoms that I really want to try to treat or find better solutions for. And then down below, I also use any or put in any current symptoms here as well. So these are just kind of sample symptoms here. Explain all of those. And then down below, I always summarize all of my medications, any supplements, or any other treatments I'm doing. So we can check for any interactions or, how long I've actually been on these treatments. So you'll see next to each one, I have how many days I've been on it. So they understand, okay, how many days have we been doing this? Do we need to come off of it? Do we need to increase it? Do we need to, decrease it? So all of that's listed here. If I'm doing any IVs or other types of treatments, that's listed here. In this case, like intermittent fasting or, EBU or something like that. I always also let them know about my current diet and what I'm doing with that, making sure to indicate, organic and that type of stuff. Then down below here is all of my current blood work and other testing that is out of range. So I've kept track of this on every single piece of blood work and labs that I've done. And I've put in the date here so they know when, the actual thing that we're testing here, my result, if it's a high or a low flag, and then the actual range here. Because different tests can have different ranges, so it's important to put that in. So then over time, you're going to see here, I definitely understand, where things are going in terms of the blood work. Beyond that, and I'll come back to all of this blood work in a section. In a second. I also have previous medications, IVs, treatments, and supplements. So all the things that I have tried in the past, so they can review that when they're trying to suggest something new, and we don't waste time in our appointment because everyone knows you only have so long in that appointment. Lastly, if the doctor isn't aware, I may bring this up quicker or sooner in this document, but this is, my actual medical background, what I've been dealing with, when did this all start? How did you feel? Was there any type of thing that triggered that, right? So any type of background you think is important to your chronic condition, you can put it in here. Now, to move on to the really interesting part of this, you can take your blood work and any other thing in this and use ChatGPT to help you move to the next step in your treatment. So, for example, since I've been keeping track of all of my blood work and I have the dates, I have the high flags, I have the range, something that really helped me is I actually took all of this, and I'm just going to do this here in real time. I'm going to select all of my blood work and I'm going to copy it in to ChatGPT and ask it a few questions. Okay. So I'm going to go ChatGPT here and I'm going to write something like I've been keeping track of my blood work for the past 3 years while having a chronic illness. And without telling ChatGPT what chronic illness I have, I want to know what this blood work is showing, right? That's kind of how I'm using it. So I can say review the below blood work results or lab work results, however you want to say that, and suggest potential diagnosis and treatments, right? And all I have to do is then paste that in here, click go, and then we're going to see what it comes out with. Now, for your knowledge, before we go into what it says, I've been diagnosed with long COVID, mold toxicity, POTS, mast cell activation syndrome, and a whole host of other things. So let's see what it says. Now, some of my blood work did show that I have a recurrent EBV virus. So it absolutely got that, and it highlights where it's showing that evidence and some treatment considerations that you can speak about with your doctor. Now, I'm not a doctor. This isn't medical advice. So definitely don't use ChatGPT solely. Use this as a helpful tool to guide your conversations with your doctor. Now, in this case, it's pretty evident as well. I had, high levels of ochratoxin and all of this, so it looks like I've got mold toxicity. Here are some really good suggestions, and these are very good. Some of these things I had to learn the hard way. I paid, hundreds, if not thousands of dollars to go to doctors to understand that I needed to be taking binders, potential antifungal treatments, detoxification support like NAC and glutathione, and avoid mold, right? So, there's even more in here. So, immune dysregulation, hormonal imbalance, vitamin nutrient imbalances, right? And then, look, it even got it. I didn't tell it that I had long COVID or post viral syndrome, but based off of my blood work, it could tell me that this could be a consideration, right? Honestly, this is extremely accurate for 2 minutes of work, assuming you're keeping track of your blood work. So, you can use this in a bunch of different ways. Like, how about, what type of doctor or specialist should I see next for the various conditions and treatment suggestions, right? So you can then ask it follow-up questions to help you, with your next steps, right? So it says, okay, an infectious disease specialist or a functional medicine doctor, environmental medicine doctor, mold literate practitioner. I mean, these again are things when I started my health journey, I didn't even know what some of these doctors were. I didn't know that these specialists existed, right? So if you've been on a similar path, you probably started with your general practitioner and found out about functional medicine and naturopathic medicine. So hopefully some of these tips with ChatGPT can help and continue to ask questions as needed.